Today's lesson is Meet Me Under the Cherry Tree, the Japanese practice of hanami. Hello, everyone. I'm Mike.
I'm Roger, and today we're going to continue talking about looking at cherry blossoms in Japan. Of course, you could do it here in Taiwan. There are plenty of cherry blossoms here in Taiwan, and there are many different species with slightly different colors that you can see at different times of the year. But I think the best place to check out cherry blossoms, most people would agree, is in Japan. It's a great place to go. It's kind of their national tradition. So you want to go check it out. And last time we talked a little bit about cherry blossom season in Japan and how it got started. And we also talked about the fact that there are different places to go and you need to get your timing right to see the flowers in bloom.
Absolutely, you do. But of course, there are different opportunities at different times of the spring to see them. If you start in the south, you might be viewing the cherry blossoms in the month of March into the beginning of April. And then in Tokyo and Kyoto, where a lot of tourists, of course, will go, April would probably be a really good time. And if you're a little bit late, you can head up to Hokkaido in late April or even early May, because, of course, the weather will warm up a little bit later in the spring there, so their flowers will bloom a little bit later as well. So there's lots of different opportunities. So let's find out some of the things that Japanese people will typically do when they go out to look at these beautiful cherry blossoms as they bloom and look their most gorgeous. It's a lot more than just taking a few pictures and walking through a park. They will turn it into a whole afternoon or even a whole day of good fun sitting under the beautiful cherry blossoms. Let's find all about it in the first part of the article.
Dipping a toe in the world of hanami is a wonderful way to gain a deeper appreciation of Japanese culture. In essence, hanami involves nothing more complex than going out and admiring the blossoms. However, understanding the practices associated with the event will take your hanami game to the next level.
大家好，第一部分介绍名词 appreciation， 意思是欣赏、理解、赏识，但同时也可以是感谢的意思。例如 Mr. Brenner's appreciation of opera is well known. Brenner 先生对歌剧的欣赏是众所周知的。或者 I'd like to express my appreciation for all you've done for me. 我想要为你替我做的一切表达感谢之意。另外补充这个字的动词 appreciate, A-P-P-R-E-C-I-A-T-E, appreciate. 造个例句 Taking a moment to appreciate the sunset each day is a simple yet fulfilling ritual. 每天花点时间欣赏夕阳是个简单却令人满足的仪式。另外一句 I appreciate everything you've done. 我很感激你所做的每件事情。接着看到动词 involve， 表示包含、需要或是涉及。例如 This test involves both speaking and writing. 这个测验包含说和写。或是 The job involves a lot of travel and dealing with clients. 这份工作需要大量旅行并与客户打交道。下一个看到动词 associate， 指使有联系、有关联或是把点点点联想在一起。例如 My parents have told me not to associate with you anymore. 我父母叫我不要再跟你有任何联系。也可以说 I associate hot chocolate with winter. 我把热巧克力和冬天联想在一起。
Okay, here in the first part of the article, we begin by saying, dipping a toe in the world of hanami is a wonderful way to gain a deeper appreciation of Japanese culture. Now here, this is kind of an interesting phrase, to dip a toe in something. Okay, so to dip just means to put something in a liquid, like if you're eating dumplings, for example, you might dip the dumpling in some sauce to make it taste better. And here you're dipping your toe, not in water, but in the world of hanami, okay? So if you dip a toe in something, you're just getting a sampling of something. You're trying it out to see if you want to continue. You would do this, for example, if you go swimming in the spring. I remember after the ice melted and you could go swimming in the lake, you'd want to dip your toe in the water first to find out if it was really cold. And oftentimes the water would be really cold, so you would have to wait a couple of months to go swimming.
There you go. So you're trying something out. You're seeing if you like it. it, seeing if you enjoy it, seeing if it kind of fits with you, but it's not a full commitment. You're not jumping into the world of hanami, which would maybe mean moving to Japan for a few months during the spring and learning all about the whole culture and tradition of hanami. No, we're just kind of trying it out the way tourists do when they go to somewhere. They want to do more than just look at it. They want to experience it, try it out. But of course, they're just doing it for fun in a brief kind of way, but they're doing it to gain a greater appreciation of Japanese culture. You don't have to go 100% to understand something and enjoy it and gain a little bit of insight into it. You can try it out. You can dip your toe into it. But all of these ways of experience something will definitely help you get a better appreciation of it. When you appreciate something, you kind of understand it. You know its value. So if we talk about appreciating your friends, you understand that these are good people and they do wonderful things in your life, and you shouldn't take them for granted. You shouldn't just sort of assume that they will always be there to be friendly with you and support you and help you. No, so we thank our friends, we buy them gifts, we tell them we care for them and we're there to help them, and that kind of idea too. So you're really kind of understanding it on a more real kind of level rather than just a surface level. So that's what you'll be able to do. It says, in essence, hanami involves nothing more complex than going out and admiring the blossoms. That is basically the meaning of the word, right? To look at flowers, I think we learned yesterday. So it involves, or this is basically what it is when we talk about something involving something. We're talking about the things that make it up, the parts that sort of come together to create this thing. So really, hanami, if you look for a definition of it, or if you're describing it to someone, it is nothing more complicated or complex than going out and looking at flowers. But that is just sort of the basic definition. There's probably a lot more to it in practice.
That's right. You could be romantically involved with somebody as well if you're having a relationship with them. But in this particular case, it includes nothing more complex. It's very simple. You just go out and look at the blossoms. You look at them and you go, oh, wow, that's really cool. And then you just go home. No, of course not. You're going to do other things as well. However, understanding the practices associated with the event will take your hanami game to the next level. So in this sentence, we have associated with, and this is the verb to associate something with something else. That means you basically think of one thing and then think of another thing that has to do with that thing. Okay, so we have different practices that go along with this event. They go together. They are associated with the event. So again, it's not just looking at the flowers, but there are other things to do as well. And if you know what those things are, well, it will take your hanami game to the next level. So this is kind of a gaming term, to take it to the next level. If you're playing, what is that, Candy Crush Saga or whatever on your phone, you're going to the next level as you progress. Gee, my wife has played like 1,000 levels of that particular game over the years. It's been around for quite some time. So yes, you take something to the higher or the next level.
You sort of improve yourself in some kind of way on a step-by-step path to becoming awesome. So in other words, we're kind of saying here, if you know a little bit more about hanami, you will realize it's more than just looking at flowers, and so we're going to learn how to do hanami a little bit more like the locals. So we're not just walking around taking pictures of beautiful flowers. We are actually out there in the park doing the things that typical Japanese people will do as they get into their hanami experience. So let's find out all about that in the second part of the article, and here's the good news. It involves food.
Food is a big part of the hanami experience. Treats for hanami include sakura mochi and hanami dango, pink, white, and green rice flour dumplings. In fact, the expression hana yori dango, dumplings over flowers, is sometimes jokingly used to note that food is the true priority of hanami for many. People often bring a picnic mat and a bento box, enjoying a whole day of eating while chatting with family and friends. That said, hanami isn't restricted to the daylight hours, with many people taking part in nighttime celebrations known as yozakura, cherry blossoms at night. Meanwhile, because hanami is such a popular activity, the most desirable viewing areas can get quite crowded. Therefore, people will often put a picnic mat down early to stake a claim to a spot.
第二部分介绍名词 priority， 表示优先事项或是当务之急。我们可以说 The priority seats on the bus are reserved for people in need. 公车上的不爱坐是保留给有需要的人。又或者说 Eating fast food less often is a priority for me. 少吃素食对我来说是当务之急。后面看到名词 daylight， 意思是日光或是天亮。例如 By the time we reach the village, there is barely any daylight left. 当我们到达村庄时，几乎已经没有日光了。再看一个例子 The thief was bold enough to commit the crime in broad daylight. 小偷竟然胆大到在光天化日之下犯罪。
Okay, so remember there are many things involved with cherry blossom viewing, and food is a big part of the Hanami experience. Treats for Hanami include sakura mochi and Hanami dango. And, of course, we've got pink and white and green rice flour dumplings. That's what Hanami dango are. I think dango is tuanzi as the kanji there. So, yes, they're basically put together with rice flour, and you've got different colors there to emulate the appearance of the cherry trees.
Beautiful pink and white, of course, for the blossoms, and green for the leaves of the trees, all in dumpling form. So you can enjoy those as you sit under the tree, of course, with similar coloration. It says, in fact, the expression hana yori dango, dumplings over flowers, is sometimes jokingly used to note that food is the true priority of Hanami for many. All right, like a lot of different festivals in the world, Hanami, it may be just a kind of an excuse to get together with your friends and eat and drink and have a jolly good time. Well, what? Looking at cherry blossom. Sure, okay, let's do it for that reason. Sometimes you think that these festivals are really more for the party and the food rather than sort of for the stated purpose. But that's what this expression sort of says in a sort of joking kind of way. Dumplings over flowers. I will choose the dumplings, or I enjoy the dumplings during Hanami season much more than I enjoy looking at the flowers. After all, if you've seen one beautiful cherry blossom tree, you've seen them all. Now, please pass me the dumplings. So this is sometimes jokingly used to note that food is the true priority or the main reason of Hanami, or for going out to enjoy the Hanami season for many. But again, this is jokingly said. When you say something jokingly, you're saying it in a joking fashion, in a funny, not serious fashion. So if it does seem a little maybe disrespectful to the tradition or the cherry blossom trees themselves, we're just kind of joking. But it is also maybe a little bit true that for some people, the true priority, the main thing about Hanami is the dumplings, the food, the get-together, the fun. A priority, of course, is something that is important. If it's your top priority, it's the most important thing. And, of course, you can talk about several important things by saying, my 3 priorities are. Other things are also important, but these are the ones I'm most focused on. So for some people, the food is the focus and the flowers are the excuse.
I'd like to have a combination of the two along with other things. And people often bring a picnic mat and a bento box, enjoying a whole day of eating while chatting with family and friends. Okay, so these are some things that happen when you go cherry blossom appreciating. You'll bring a picnic mat, which is kind of maybe a piece of plastic or cloth or whatever that you put on the ground, and then you sit down and enjoy some food. You will have a bento box. A bento, I think, is the Japanese term for biendang, as you say in Chinese. I think the actual term here in Taiwan came from the Japanese, bento. And you will stay there for a whole day. You won't just be there for an hour or two. You'll stay there, and maybe you'll bring some cards or something. You'll just spend the day and just relax with your family and friends, and you will chat about all sorts of things that you expect to do in the coming year.
There you go. So a lovely way to spend a day, a morning, an afternoon, or the whole day out there with your family, your friends, and your wonderful bento boxes, hopefully filled with some Hanami dango dumplings. That said, the article says, as we continue on, so with all of that being true, so when we use that expression, we're like, yes, everything that we said is true, is valid. We stand behind that. But, however, there are other elements, there are other things to consider. Hanami isn't restricted to the daylight hours, with many people taking part in nighttime celebrations known as yozakura, cherry blossoms at night. So, while there are a lot of things, and maybe the majority of people will go out and enjoy their Hanami season during the day with a daytime picnic, it isn't restricted to the daylight hours. So it's not just something that people will do during daytime. Daylight, of course, just meaning during the day when the sun is up. Nighttime or daylight. We wouldn't really say nightlight hours. We would probably say nighttime hours or daytime or daylight hours. The difference in the day, in the times of the day, with the sun and the moon being in the sky. And many people take part in these nighttime celebrations, so many that they actually have a name for it, Yozakura, which is cherry blossoms at night. I guess that would be lovely. Obviously, many parks will have lights in them, and of course, that would give you a whole different sort of feeling and mood, and also wonderful different types of pictures to take of these beautiful flowers at night under the moonlight.
Yeah, I think there's a place in Taipei where you can do that at night. I think it's
Nice.
out near Donghu or something like that. We've been there a couple of times. And meanwhile, because Hanami is such a popular activity, the most desirable viewing areas can get quite crowded, as you might expect. Okay, everybody wants to go see the best flowers, and therefore people will often put a picnic mat down early to stake a claim to a spot. So here we've got the phrase to stake a claim. That just means you formally announce to everyone else that you have this thing or you're going to have this thing and nobody else can have it. So you basically reserve the spot so nobody else can take it away from you.
Absolutely. You might do that in a theater or somewhere, in a restaurant, by putting your bag on a chair. And then you'll go off and get your food. And hopefully, if you live in an honest part of the world, you can come back and your bag will still be there. Japan being a very honest place, I guess you can put your picnic mat down, maybe go to the store, maybe even come back an hour or two later, and it should still be there. And that is kind of like calling the restaurant to reserve a table. You can't really call the park to reserve a bit of grass, but you can go there early, put your picnic mat down, and hopefully when you come back, no one has moved it, and you will be able to use that space. So let's find out more about Hanami as we reach the end of our article. We have a little bit to go, so let's read that, and then we'll come back to chat about it before we say goodbye.
Nothing lasts forever. But whether you're in Japan or just admiring the cherry blossoms from afar, Hanami offers a reminder to cherish the present and share nature's fleeting beauty with loved ones.
最后第三部分看到 cherish 这个单字，它是动词，指的是珍惜、钟爱或是珍视。举例来说 ，Remember to cherish every day， 要记得珍惜每一天。或者 Gail cherishes her collection of antique furniture. Gail 很爱惜她收藏的古董家具。
Okay, here's the final part of our lesson for today. It says, nothing lasts forever. We did mention that term before. That is true. Everything is temporary, so you better appreciate it while you can. But whether you're in Japan or just admiring the cherry blossoms from afar, Hanami offers a reminder to cherish the present and share nature's fleeting beauty with loved ones. So you may actually go to Japan and admire the cherry blossoms there, or you might admire them from afar, from far away. Maybe you can go online and find a webcam that is showing the cherry blossoms in Japan as they're blooming. If you happen to be in Washington, D.C., you can see them there as well. I believe those are famous there. They were gifts from Japan, I think, at one point. And so that's one place you can check them out. But this also reminds me that we should appreciate the opportunities that we have here in Taiwan to check them out, because there are plenty of cherry blossom trees here in good old Taiwan. You don't need to waste the money to go to Japan to check them out there unless you really want to.
And of course, no matter where you go, if you're in Washington, here in Taiwan, or lucky enough to be in Japan, you would like, of course, to get up close to some of those cherry blossoms. If you're a budding photographer and artist, that would be a wonderful way to add some beautiful works to your portfolio and see them up close, not just from afar. Afar meaning from far away, from a larger or a greater distance than being up close or near to something. So, of course, if you're an artist, you might might paint them from afar if you want a landscape painting, or you might get up close and paint one blossom in great detail from much closer in, but afar just meaning from far away or from a greater distance. So whatever you do and wherever you do it, Hanami season is a wonderful way to cherish the present and share nature's fleeting beauty with loved ones. Because, of course, often in our lives, we're so busy it's hard to slow down and cherish things, to truly appreciate, value, and enjoy them for all they are worth. Now is our time to enjoy all the wonderful teachings of Hanny, and then we will be back with our discussion starter question.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文一开始写到，探索赏花的世界是一个更深入了解日本文化的绝佳方式。那文中它用 gain a deeper appreciation 来表达更深入了解的语义。这个名词 appreciation 它有欣赏、理解或是赏识，还有感谢的意思。那它是来自动词 appreciate。那我们来学习它的字首字根。好，看到 price 或是 preci 这一类的字根，它表示价格、价值或是报酬。在 appreciate 这个字当中，它的字首 ap 是来自 ad， 表示朝向。那么这个字根 preci 表示价值， ate 则是动词字尾。当我们朝向某人，对着某人去肯定他的价值，这样应该很容易联想到 appreciate 它有感谢、感激或欣赏、赏识的意思。我们顺便补充几个有这一类字根的单字。第一个是 depreciate， 它的字首 de 表示往下， preci 表示价值，ate 是动词字尾。那当某物品它的价值往下走，那就表示它贬值咯，所以 depreciate 它就有贬值、折旧的意思。第二个补充的是 precious， 它的字根 preci 表示价值， ous 是形容词字尾，那合在一起 precious 就是形容珍贵的、宝贵的。第三个补充的是 priceless，它的这个字根 price 表示价钱，那么 less 这个字尾表示无，合在一起 priceless 就表示无价的、非常珍贵的。好，那同样在课文第一部分最后一句提到说，了解与这项活动相关的做法，将使你的赏花体验更上一层楼。文中是用 take your hanami game to the next level 来表达使你的赏花体验更上一层楼。那 take something to the next level 就是表达将什么带到下一个层次，去改善提升某事物，以达到更高的境界。举例来说， This headset will take your gaming experience to the next level。 这款耳机麦克风将为你的电玩体验提升到更好的层次。好，那其他用法还有像 take something to a whole new level，就是将什么提升到全新的境界层次。 Take something to a whole other level 就是将什么带到完全不同的境界层次。还有你还可以用 take something up a level， 字面意思是将什么提高到另一个层级，这通常是用来表达某人将某件事提高到另一个水准，以取得更好的成果或表现。例如 Are you looking to take your language skills up a level？ 你想提升语言能力，让你的语言能力更上一层楼吗？好，那么以上今天重点整理，我们回顾今天的单字吧。
Appreciation. Eliza's appreciation of classical music grew after she attended several concerts. Involve. Planning a large event often involves dealing with unexpected challenges. Associate. Mr. Clay associates that song with memories of his childhood. Priority. Completing the report by Friday is our priority right now. Daylight. During summer, daylight lasts much longer than in winter. Cherish. Jessica cherishes the time she spends with her grandparents.
Discussion starter starts now!
And that discussion starter question is, have you ever taken part in Hanami? If yes, what did you think of it? If no, would you like to?
Well, technically, no, I don't believe I have participated in Hanami because I actually haven't gone to Japan, or I actually haven't had those snacks, or I haven't had a picnic under the cherry trees, but I have checked out the cherry blossoms here in Taiwan. I do believe that does count as Hanami, even though I did not do those other activities. How about you, Mike?
Yes, I have celebrated Hanami before. I was lucky enough to be in Japan during Hanami season in, I believe, 1998. I thought it was great, and I'd never seen a park so crowded with people when it wasn't for some kind of special event like a concert or something like that. It really was like walking around a busy shopping mall on a Saturday afternoon, but you're outside in a park. So it was quite unusual, but it was lovely. Everyone was very polite and having a great time, so I was just feeling quite lucky to be there.
Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Roger.
I am Mike.
See you next time.